Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Second Cup of Coffee. It's Pastor Tom with you. We're on week 1 of a new series called Honor the Fallen. Honor the Fallen. This series is going to kind of be based around our reaction as people, a person, a group of people, a church, a body of Christ, to those that have been in places of leadership and have fallen for whatever reason. Maybe it's morally, maybe it's theologically. There's a lot of different reasons. And I want to walk through this because there's a proper response and an improper response. I'm not going to outline the improper response as much as just lay out the proper response. And I find this in 1 Samuel. And it's when Saul has died. He was king. And he actually committed suicide, or tried, and because he didn't want to be abused by those that were chasing him. And anyway, he dies. Well, the people that were chasing him, they took his body, they decapitated him and his sons, they hung them up, they desecrated the bodies. And it says in verse 11 of 1 Samuel 31, "Now the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul. All the valiant men arose and traveled all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and they came to Jabesh and burned them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree at Jabesh and fasted 7 days." I read that and I wrote a note. How are you honoring the fallen? If you look at Saul, Saul has a really troubling track record. He started out well, but he could never get over the hump of obeying God is more important than fearing the people. And what I mean by fearing, them leaving you as a leader. So it became an issue, and eventually the kingdom was taken from him by the Lord and given to David. But you have to understand that there was still good in Saul that needed to be honored. And these men at Jabesh Gilead, they understood that, because when they were under attack, when they were being pressed by an enemy who said, "I'm going to either wipe you out or you can surrender and we'll put out one of your eyes," and it was just a really bad deal, they looked to Saul for help. And it says in 1 Samuel 11:6, then the Spirit of God came upon Saul. So when you have a fallen leader, you can't just focus on the bad and leave out the good. There was a time, multiple times in Saul's life, when the Spirit of God came upon him, and he was able to accomplish things for the children of Israel. He saved Jabesh Gilead. So these men chose to focus on what he had done when he was in the Spirit and how it benefited them, and they chose to honor that. And so they literally arose and they traveled all night. I understand if you're in a situation where somebody in your life, maybe it isn't a public figure, maybe it's a father, maybe it's a grandfather, maybe it's a mother, maybe it's somebody in your life or in your sphere who's fallen, and you're like, what do I focus on? What do I do? You travel through the night by focusing on the good that they did. I'm not saying there won't be night. I'm not saying that you bury the sin. I'm not saying that you ignore what happened. But what I'm saying is there's a righteous response, and that is, don't throw everything out. Focus on what was Spirit-led, because that's going to carry you. There's an honor in that for them, but also for you. These men did not let the end of Saul's life and the decisions that he made detract completely away from what he did for them when he was in the Spirit. May that be the same of us. You're going to have to do a little bit better than that, Pastor. Okay, I will. God doesn't take out Psalms. He doesn't take out Proverbs. He doesn't take out other books of the Bible when people didn't end well. He honors what they did by the Spirit. He records what they did in the flesh, and he lets the case rest. And so should we. Not any person on this earth, other than Jesus Christ, who is now in heaven, ever got out unscathed and never walked in the flesh. We make mistakes. We fail. Sometimes we make choices and we cause carnage and we do things that damage. But I'm telling you, if they've walked in the Spirit and you have a testimony of the goodness in their life, if you're walking through the darkness of their failure, trust and just focus on that testimony. Give honor where honor is due, and God will do some things in your life that He wants to do in healing you and restoring you. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody or not, but if that's happened, my heart goes out to you, and I'm sorry. It's hard to walk through, but you can make it. If this meant something to you, please share it. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on our app or on YouTube, either on the RCC page or our Second Cup of Coffee page. We're so glad that you would join us, and we'll talk to you next time.